Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Kadence global color palette to completely supercharge your brand. This video is extremely important for setting the branding of your website, and it's going to be a fun one, so let's get right into it. Hey, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jake Full, and I built a six-figure blogging business all on the side while I was working my 9-to-5 job, and I was able to quit my job and go full-time as an entrepreneur, doing what I love every single day, and I want to teach you exactly how to do the same. And so if that sounds interesting, make sure to click the link in the description below and sign up for my free 30-minute blogging masterclass. It's an entire overview of blogging and affiliate marketing and how easy it is to get your own website started, create a brand online, and start generating passive income every single month, because I have built entire website templates in a box that you can import in less than 1 minute. And then I also have over 400 individual website templates that you can mix and match however you would like to create pages and blog posts 10 times faster than anybody else out there. And so make sure to click that link in the description below and get signed up for the free training. And let's get back to the video. All right, so I will have a link in the description below, but I do have an entire blog post that I created on how to use the Kadence Global Color Palette to supercharge your brand. So feel free to click on that and follow along. It has a lot of really nice tips in there, and I'll kind of go through it as I go throughout this video here. So here I am logged into the back end of my WordPress website. And in order to access your Kadence Global Color Palette, you'll need to go to the Kadence Customizer. And so in order to do that, I'm going to hover over Appearance here, and then I'm going to choose the Customize option. So here we are in the Kadence Customizer. You can see the front end of your website here. So we had put the Discover Start Blogging theme on our website. Here's our name up here, and we will be creating a customized logo for that in a later video. But in order to access your Kadence Global Color Palette, you'll want to go to the first option here that says colors and fonts. And then the top option here is colors. So I'm going to choose that. All right, so here's your Kadence Global Color Palette. And you can see that there are 9 different colors here. So these are extremely important because all of these colors are used in various parts of your website. And when you go and change one of these colors, it's going to automatically update across your website, and you won't have to go and change individual elements. And so this is one of the best features of Kadence. And I want to first show you what each of these colors means so you have a better idea of how to set them. So back here in my written tutorial, here is an image I have. And like I said, you can see that there are 9 different colors here. And so the first 2 colors are your accent colors. So that first color is going to be your main brand color. And then that second color is going to be your second accent color. And that usually is a color that shows when you hover over a link or a button or something else. And then the next 4 colors, colors 3 through 6 here, are your contrast colors. And so these colors are used for various things throughout your website, such as text, or borders, shadows, and a number of other things. So colors 3 and 4 here are going to be used for text all throughout your website. The 4th color, for example, is used as the body text color here. And then your 5th and 6th colors are going to be used for things such as borders or shadows sometimes. Many times you'll see that the placeholder text within forms is using the 6th color. And so these are used for a number of other different things that are more subtle. And then the last 3 colors, colors 7, 8, and 9, are your base colors, and these are used for things such as backgrounds or subtle backgrounds. And so you can see that on Start Blogging 101 here, I have just the base color, which is number 9 here, used as the background for my website on my blog post, which is just pure white. And then many times you can use the 7th and 8th color to give just a slight background for just a pop of color if you want for a background. So let's show you the power of the Kadence Global Color Palette by using the Rewind Start Blogging theme as an example here. So here you can see the default color palette for the Rewind theme here. This is a little unorthodox with what you do because we added some different pops of colors for our 5th and 6th colors here, which we then use throughout the website. But it's really fun because we use this in a way that gives this site a really fun, vibrant look and feel. So as we scroll down here, you can see that these colors from the color palette are used all throughout the website. So you can see it in the content boxes here. You can see it in the call to action area here, the various blog posts that we have listed, and then the about section at the bottom of the homepage here. And then if I scroll up and go to the about page, you can see that we're using these colors through the hero section, through the different content sections here that talks about your story and your experience and your skills, and then leading down into the my results area here, but you get the picture. So let's head back to the homepage here and switch the colors and show you what I mean. So the Rewind theme comes pre-installed with 3 different color palettes that we have set for the website. And if we switch the color palette, it will change all of the colors throughout the site with one click. So let's actually look at the third color palette here real quick. So I'm going to click this, and you can see that instantly all 9 of our colors have changed here, and the colors have changed throughout the website as we scroll down here. Now, obviously we cannot dynamically change the images themselves. So this pink, for example, is not going to go with this color, but these are just placeholder images, and you will obviously swap those out, and I'll show you how to do that in a later video. But if we come back up here and go to the About page, you can see that all of these colors have changed in the hero section here, in the various content sections here, as we scroll down and look at the different skills. And it's just really, really cool how you can completely change the look and feel of your entire website by simply just changing your global color palette. And so let's scroll up one more time, go back to the home page. And so this color palette has a lot more muted colors and more earthy tones. But now let's look at the second color palette here. So I'm going to choose this. And so this color palette is very bright and vibrant, kind of like the first one. It has a lot of neon colors and gives a very nice 90s vibe. And so if we scroll down here, you can see that we have used those different colors once again all throughout these various sections here. And let's scroll up and look at the About page. And so here's that bright neon blue used for the hero section. And then as we scroll down throughout the various content boxes here in the skills, and it's very, very nice because you can come in here and you can change any of these colors to whatever you want, and it'll change it throughout your website. So here we are back on our main website with the Discover theme. And let's go over how to choose each of these colors and get them set for your global color palette. So step 1 is to choose your main brand color, which is going to be your accent color that is used throughout your website. And this color is very important because it is the primary color that you're using for the branding of your website. And you can see that it is used in things such as buttons here. You can see that it's used as links throughout your different body text. I even have it down here with my scroll to top button. And if we scroll back up here to the top of the blog post, you can see that it's used for things such as the category for your blog post here. It shows when you hover over different menu items. And so you want to be thinking about what kind of message you want to portray to your visitors through your brand color. So down here in step 1 of the blog post, you can see that it says to choose your main brand color. And I actually have a number of different color palettes here that I grabbed from the Coolers site. And so let me show you this site because this is a really, really cool website for choosing different color palettes and finding your brand color. So here I am on the website. It's coolors.co. It's COOLORS.co. And so this is a really cool site for different color palettes. And so I'm actually going to go down here and I'm going to click the button that says Explore Trending Palettes. And so here we are on the Trending Color Palettes page. And as you scroll down, you can see that there are all different colors here. And what's really nice is you can hover over any of these colors and it will give you the hex code. And then all you need to do is simply click on it and it will copy that code to your clipboard, and then you can go and paste it into the Kadence Global Color Palette. And so for Ethan Blackwell's site, he's an outdoorsy guy, and so I want to come up with some sort of forest green or some sort of natural looking color that has some earthy undertones to just kind of bring together the whole vibe of the website. So in that case, I'd probably come down to something like this and look at some of these colors. These are some really nice greens that I like that have a real natural tone to them. But obviously you can go through and search through all of these color palettes and see what color fits your brand. And another thing that's cool here, I'm back on the home page, and at the very bottom, there's a thing that says list of colors. So I'm going to choose that. And so here is an entire page with all different colors from reds to oranges, yellows, greens, blues, all throughout. And so if you know that there is a specific type of color that you're going for, but you don't exactly know what kind of shade you want, you can simply come in here. And so I'm going to want to be looking for something that's a green. And so I can look through these and I can see that there is this fern green here. And so that has a real nice natural tone to it. Or maybe you're going for something that's more vibrant, right? And so you'd come through here and maybe you're looking for a lime green or something like that. But what's really nice is it has all different shades for the color that you want. So this is a really nice page to also use if you know what type of color you're going for. All right, so I'm back on my site and I have found my main brand color. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna choose the first color here, and I'm gonna double click in the hex code here, and I'm gonna paste the hex code that I got from the Cooler site. So there we go, I have my green in there. It has already come through and it's changed all of the buttons on my website, the different highlights here. You can see that it shows down here. But now also when I hover over this button, you can see that it's still showing the second accent color, which is still set to the Discover color. And so I'm going to want to find a darker shade of this color to set as my second accent color. So in order to find a darker shade of my main brand color, I'm going to go to the Adobe color wheel. And so you can actually just search for that on Google, and I'm gonna click on it right here. And so the website is color.adobe.com. And this is another really cool site that uses color science to figure out different shades and different complementary colors and all sorts of things that you can plug in here. So what I'm gonna do is this very middle color here, I'm gonna paste the hex code of my main brand color. All right, so I've pasted the main hex code there, and I'm gonna hit enter on my keyboard. And you can see that it brings in that main color there, and you can see some other colors showing up here, but this is not the mode that I want. And so up here in the upper left, I'm gonna click on this drop down under color harmony, and I'm gonna go down to the option that says shades. So I'm gonna choose that. And so now we can see different shades that go perfectly with this main brand color here. And already I'm seeing that this first color here is a nice darker version of this main brand color that I had. And so I'm gonna hover over this hex code here, and I'm gonna click copy, and I'm gonna go plug that in for my second brand color on my global color palette. So here I am back on my website, and I'm gonna choose the second color here, and I'm gonna double click in here and paste the hex code that I got from the Adobe color wheel. All right, so I pasted that in there, and if I click off, you can see that it is a darker version of my main brand color. And so now you can see that when we hover over the button here, there's that nice transition to that darker color. And so that's gonna be used in a number of different areas throughout your website. So, you know, if you hover over the social icons here in the footer or links, for example, it's going to turn into that darker color, which is your second brand color. All right, so now we have our first accent color and our secondary accent color set on our website. One thing I should note is to keep accessibility in mind. One additional tool that I at least want to point out is a contrast checker for the colors on your website. And so if you Google contrast checker here, I like using this WebAIM one, so I'm gonna choose this. And so the URL is webaim.org/resources/contrast checker. And here is where you can put in your foreground color and your background color, and it will show you the contrast ratio and if it passes WCAG standards. And so I'm actually gonna plug in my main brand color here and check the contrast ratio. So I copy and pasted the hex code of my main brand color here and press enter. And then the background color is just pure white, like I said, which is going to be the majority of what's going to show on my blog. And you can see that it shows a contrast ratio of 4.52 to 1. And if we scroll down a little bit here, you can see that normal text passes the AA standard. It does fail the AAA standard, but that's honestly not a huge deal. This is going to be more than fine, especially for just a simple personal blog. You can see for large text here that it passes both AA and AAA. And then for the text input here, it does pass AA standards for the text input, which you can see around here. Now, this is simply just a tool that I wanted for you to keep in mind. Accessibility gets even more important if you're running something like a healthcare website, but since we are just running a simple personal blog, I would just make sure to at least keep this in mind, but I wouldn't fret too much if you don't find a color that perfectly passes everything, because that's pretty hard to do. And I will say that the vast majority of websites out there do not actually pass accessibility checks, but you do want to at least make sure that you're using a brand color that is legible and that can be read. The next thing we want to do is set the 4 contrast colors here. So let's show you how to do that. So here we are on step 3 of my written tutorial, and it says to choose your contrast colors. And I don't want you to overthink this. So in this tutorial, I actually have a number of different examples here. So I have 3 different options here for your contrast colors, depending on the look you're trying to go for on your website. So if your main brand color goes with a more cool example and you want more blues on your website, I would suggest going with the cool gray example here, where I have the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th color and all the hex codes here. If you want something that's a little more warm and has more of some brown undertones, then I would suggest going with the warm gray example here. And then if you want something that's a little more neutral and is just a number of different shades of gray, then I'd suggest going with the gray example at the bottom here. So since Ethan's website is an outdoorsy website, I would be going with the warm gray example here because that has more brown undertones and it just looks a little more earthy. But say you don't want to use one of these predefined palettes for your contrast colors, you can obviously go in and manually set these as well. So here I am back on the Coolers site on the different colors page here. And say I know that I want brown undertones for my contrast color, I can come in here and I can find different brown colors that will go well with my contrast colors. And so I'm gonna come in here and choose the brown option here. So here we have the different shades of brown from the Cooler site. And so for your third and fourth color, like I said, you're gonna want those to be very dark and be dark enough for text. So the third color should be the darkest, and then the fourth color should be just slightly lighter than that. And so you might come in here and this color looks really good for the third color in my global color palette because it's a real dark brown that would look nice with text. And then if I scroll further down here, here's another color here that is slightly lighter than that other one that would be good for my fourth color. And then you could plug these into the Adobe color wheel and find different shades so that you could find some lighter colors to go for your remaining contrast colors. So just as an example, I'm actually gonna grab this color here. So I'm gonna click on this and I'm gonna go plug it into the Adobe color palette to find different shades. So here I am back on the Adobe color palette. I have pasted the hex code here and pressed enter. So here's that main color that shows in the center here. And then here are a number of different shades that you can use with this color. And so I can already tell that these first two shades are gonna be too light for my contrast colors. But these next two are actually really nice. And so this color right here could be my sixth color in my palette. And then this one could be my fifth. And then I'd probably want something between this color and this color to be used as my fourth color. And I already showed you back on the Coolers page here. If I scroll down here, this color is another nice color. It's dark enough for text and is just slightly lighter than the other one. So that could be my third, fourth, fifth, and sixth colors right there. So back here on my website, I have gone in and filled in all four of my contrast colors based on what I found from the Adobe color wheel and the colors that I found on the Cooler site. And so you can see that the third color here is a real dark brown that's gonna be real nice for text. The fourth color here is also very dark, just slightly lighter than that third color. The fifth color here is once again slightly lighter and it also has that brown undertone. And then the sixth color here is an even lighter brown that will go really well with this website and just give that natural outdoorsy look. And so as an example, I actually just want to come in here and show you what some of these colors are used for. And so let's go to the contact page here. And so here we are on the contact page. Keep in mind, we have not set the three base colors yet, but we will probably have something pretty similar. You can see that the base color is used here behind the header. Some of the base colors are used for the borders here on this particular form. But for example, you can see that the placeholder text such as first name, last name, etc., is that sixth color that we just set in our color palette. And so this gives a really nice look. We have our main brand color here with the green that gets slightly darker when we hover over it. We have the different placeholder text that has those earthy undertones. And this is just a great website for an outdoorsy look. Let's head back to the home page here and let's now set our last three colors, which are the three base colors. And so back in the written tutorial, step 4 here says to choose your base colors. If I scroll down here, I also have 3 predefined palettes here for your base colors if you would like to use them. So similarly to the contrast colors, if you want more of a blue type of vibe, a cool vibe, then you definitely would go with the cool base example here, which has blue undertones. If you want more of a brown or beige type of undertone, then go with the warm base example here. And then if you want something that's a little more neutral and just uses shades of gray, then you would go with the gray base example here. So once again, like I said, for my website, I would likely be using the warm base example because it has that beige and that brown undertone. Or once again, back on the Cooler site, on the colors page here, there are a number of really light colors here that you could also use as your base colors if you would like. All right, so I have gone in and I have changed my base colors now. They're just ever so slightly different than what the Discover theme had. But one thing I would always recommend is keeping your 9th color to be pure white, which is FFF for the hex code. And then the 8th color here is just slightly off white. You can see that it's actually used here and it's just a very light beige. And then the 7th color is just a slightly darker version of that 8th color. And so these colors are really nice because even though they're extremely subtle, they give a nice transition in between different sections on your website. So the hero section and the header here have that slightly off white for that 8th color here. And then as we scroll down, this has just pure white as a background, but now we're using that 8th color as the background for the content boxes. In this situation, we have a really dark color being used as the CTA background, but you can obviously change these to whatever you want with one click. It's extremely simple. And then we go back down and we're back to a pure white background with some text on it. And then we get into the footer, which once again goes into that slightly off-white or that beige background. All right, so now that we have our entire Kadence global color palette filled out and set, I'm gonna come up and click the publish button. Now, one question that I see asked very often is if you can add additional colors to your color palette. And although you can't add additional colors from right here in your customizer, you can actually add additional colors to use throughout your website when you're using Kadence blocks. And so I'm gonna show you that quick. So I'm gonna come back to the dashboard here by clicking this X, and then let's go into a blog post and show you what I mean. So I'm gonna hover over here on the post and click that. And then I'm gonna come into the sample product review post here. So here we are in our sample blog post. And you can see in the upper right here, there is a button that says Kadence Blocks Controls with the Kadence icon. So I'm gonna choose that. And here it shows the 9 colors from our Kadence color palette that we just got done setting. But you'll notice that there's a button here that says Add Color. And so what you can do is you can choose this and you can add additional colors that you can then choose when you're going to design a page or a blog post from Kadence blocks. And so just to get you thinking about some colors that you might want to add to your color palette here, I tend to add a green and a red that I use to show pros and cons on my various blog posts. So if I scroll down on the sample blog post here and I look at the product review summary, you can see that there are pros and cons listed here, and they have a green and a red color. Now, right now at the moment, Kadence does not have a way to globally change these colors. But if you want to set a green and a red color in your Kadence blocks controls here, you could come in and you could change the color of these icons to whatever colors you had additionally set in your Kadence blocks controls here. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm simply going to add the same green and red color that I use for the pros and cons here to our Kadence blocks control. So I'm gonna click on here where it says add color, and then you can see that an additional color pops up here. So I'm gonna click this color, and now I'm gonna paste the green in from the pros that I use. And so the hex code is 28A745. And then if you want, you can give it a name. So I'm gonna highlight this and I'm going to type pros-green just to give an indication that this is the green that I'm gonna use for pros. So that's done. So I'm gonna click off here, and now I'm gonna add the red that we used for the cons. And so I'm once again gonna click add color. I'm gonna click on the new option that shows up. I'm gonna paste the hex code here for the cons red. And so that hex code is DC3545. And once again, you can give it a name. So I'm going to come in and highlight this, and I'm going to type cons-red just to give an indication that this is the red that I'll use for cons. And then I'll click off here. And then another idea for additional colors that you can use is you can perhaps find some complementary colors that go with your brand color. So perhaps you found your brand color, but you also like some other colors that go well with it. And every once in a while, you want to have a pop of color that you can easily reference when you're building pages or blog posts. You could come into the Kadence blocks controls and add some additional complementary colors. So one way to find complementary colors using color science is once again to use the Adobe color wheel. And so I've come in and I've added my main brand color, the hex code here, and press enter, but we're still on the shades option. So I'm gonna come into color harmony drop down here, and I'm gonna click that. And you can see that there are a few options here. So I'm gonna click complementary here. And so you can see that the color wheel changes to show different complementary colors based on the color wheel here. And right now, right off the bat, I don't see any of these that I personally like. Maybe there are some that you'll like when you choose that option. But I'm actually gonna come in and change modes and see if there's a different color that I like for my website. So I'm gonna come up into the drop down and I'm gonna choose split complementary here. And so that changes the colors ever so slightly. And even though this one is pretty similar, I do actually like this. It's kind of like a dark terracotta color. It kind of has that earthy tone to it. And so I'm actually just gonna click to copy this hex code, and I'm gonna go add that as an additional color in my Kadence blocks control. So here I am back on the website. I'm gonna click add color. I'm gonna click on the new color that showed up here, and I'm gonna paste the hex code. And I'm just gonna give this a name of comp-1 for complementary color 1. And that's done, so I'm gonna click off here. Now, I don't know if I'll use this color for my website or not, but I wanted to give these examples of some additional colors that you could add to your color palette through Kadence blocks that you can easily reference. And speaking of that, I want to show you how you'll see these colors when you're using Kadence blocks now. So I will go into much more detail in how to use Kadence blocks and how to build different pages and blog posts in later videos. But just to give you an example here, say that you want to change the color of this button. I'm going to click on this button here and we're going to go into the block controls now. So I'm going to change to this button right here, which says settings. And I'm going to go to the style tab here to change the color of this button. And you can see that this button is set to a gradient. So it's using the first color from our color palette and it's slowly transitioning into the second brand color, which is that darker version. And so that gives that nice gradient on the button there. But say we want to just use a solid color, I'm going to come here and choose this paintbrush option. So that changes it to a solid color. And now if you choose this color here, you can see that we have the 9 colors from our global color palette listed, but we now additionally have the 3 other colors that we've added, which is the green from the pros that we use, the red from the cons that we used, and then our additional complementary color that we got from the Adobe color wheel. And so I'm gonna actually just choose this complementary color just to show you. So now our button has changed to that complementary color, which is that nice dark blush color. But I do want you to just keep in mind that these additional colors are not global, unfortunately. So if you set this color on a number of different elements, and then you go and change that color in your Kadence blocks control here, it's not actually going to update that color. So now that I have that color set on that button, if I come in here and I change this to something else, such as this blue here, and click off, you can see that it doesn't change that color because it's not a global color. And so these additional colors are just a nice way to reference colors in Kadence blocks so that if you're ever in Kadence blocks building pages or blog posts and you want these other colors to reference really easily, you can add them all in the Kadence blocks controls here. One last thing I wanted to point out before we finish this video is that you can actually create a dark theme using the Kadence global color palette if you would like. And in order to do that, it's actually really simple. So here is an example that I have shown down here. So your first 2 colors, your brand color and your accent color, will stay the exact same. But in order to create a dark theme, all you are doing is taking colors 3 through 9 and you're completely reversing them. And so this was normally our 3rd color, our 4th color, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And all we did is now set the 9th color as the 3rd color, and we just reversed all of those colors. So I'm gonna go into our website and reverse those colors and show you what I mean. So here we are back on our website, and all I've done is I've reversed colors 3 through 9 in my palette here. And keep in mind, this isn't always gonna look really good right off the bat. In fact, our main brand color is this green color here, and that had enough contrast on a light background. And so now on a dark background, it's actually going to blend in a little more. So you'd probably wanna have a lighter brand color here for your main brand colors if you would like to do a dark theme. But I just wanted to show this as an example. Once again, we cannot dynamically change the image here, so this is gonna look a little off. But you can see how the background now uses that darker brown color and the very dark brown color here for our main section headline with our highlight colors here. The CTA section has now completely reversed, and now that is a very bright section, but it still looks good. And then if we scroll down here, you can see the slight differences in the background colors here once again. But let's just scroll back up here. And I just wanted to show you this little trick that if you do want to go for a dark theme on your website, that it's basically as simple as just flipping colors 3 through 9. And then like I said, you might want to tweak your main brand color to be a little bit lighter so that it has a nice contrast on those dark backgrounds. So there you have it. That's how to supercharge your brand using the Kadence global color palette. I hope that this video helped you set all of your colors for your website that you can use going forward. That's all I have for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.